Jake Morrison looked out the window of his spaceship. Stars filled the black space around them. After 6 months of travel, they were finally close to their destination. He was the leader of the first human team to visit the Zephyrian Empire. No human had ever been this far from Earth. "Commander Morrison, we can see their planet now," said his pilot, Lieutenant Steve Carter. "It looks amazing." Jake moved to the front window. The planet below them was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was covered in huge crystal cities that sparkled like diamonds. The buildings were tall and thin, reaching up into the clouds. Strange purple and blue lights moved between the structures. "Kate, are you ready for this?" Jake asked his second-in-command, Ambassador Kate Sullivan. She had studied alien languages for 20 years. If anyone could help them talk to these aliens, it was her. "As ready as I can be," Kate said. "But Jake, remember what we learned about them. The Zephyrians are very old. They have ruled most of the galaxy for 50,000 years. They are much more advanced than us." Jake nodded. The Zephyrians had sent the invitation to Earth 3 years ago. It was the first time they had ever wanted to meet humans. Earth's leaders were excited but nervous. What did such powerful aliens want with humanity? Their ship landed in a huge crystal port. Jake had seen pictures, but being here was different. Everything was made of some kind of living crystal that changed colors. The air smelled sweet like flowers, but with a strange electric feeling. "Stay close together," Jake told his team of 12 humans. "Remember, we are guests here." Tall alien figures waited for them. The Zephyrians were beautiful in a strange way. They had 4 arms and stood 8 feet tall. Their skin looked like it was made of clear crystal with light moving inside. They had large eyes that seemed to see everything. Jake felt like they were reading his mind just by looking at him. "Welcome, humans," said the lead Zephyrian. Her voice was musical, like singing. "I am Advisor Nexel. Queen Lyrilleth waits for you." They walked through the crystal city. Jake saw thousands of Zephyrians moving in perfect lines. They all seemed to know exactly where to go. No one bumped into anyone else. No one seemed to talk much. It was like watching a beautiful machine work. "They are so organized," whispered Dr. Lisa Chen, the team's scientist. "Look how they move together." Kate was watching too. "It is almost like they share one mind," she said quietly. They entered the royal palace. It was the biggest building Jake had ever seen. The walls were made of crystal that showed moving pictures of stars and planets. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. Queen Lyrilleth sat on a throne made of floating crystal. She was the most beautiful and frightening being Jake had ever seen. Her crystal skin was pure white with silver light moving through it. She wore a crown that looked like it was made of captured starlight. When she looked at Jake, he felt like she could see into his soul. "Commander Morrison," the Queen said. Her voice filled the huge room. "You have traveled far to reach us." "Your Majesty," Jake said, bowing like Kate had taught him. "We are honored to be here. Earth sends its friendship to the Zephyrian Empire." The Queen stood up. She was even taller than the other Zephyrians. "You wonder why we called you here," she said. "Your people are young. You have only been in space for a short time. What could we want from you?" Jake felt nervous. What could humans offer to beings who ruled the galaxy? "I will tell you," the Queen continued. "But first, meet my daughter." A younger Zephyrian stepped forward. She looked like the Queen, but smaller. Her crystal skin was blue and green like Earth's oceans. When she looked at Jake, he felt something strange. She seemed sad, even though her face did not change. "This is Princess Kaelin," the Queen said. "She is my only child. In 1 year she must marry, or she cannot become queen after me." Jake nodded. Many cultures had marriage rules for their leaders. Then Queen Lyrilleth said something that shocked everyone. "I want her to marry a human male." The huge room became completely silent. Jake felt his mouth fall open. Kate made a small gasping sound. The Zephyrian court members looked surprised too. Some of them started making strange humming sounds, "Your Majesty." Jake said slowly, "I do not understand. Why would you want your daughter to marry a human?" The Queen's eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Because, Commander Morrison, my people are dying. Not from war or disease, but from something worse. We are losing what makes us alive inside." Jake looked at Princess Kaelin. She was watching him with those large, sad eyes. "We have ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years," the Queen continued. "We have the best technology. We live for thousands of years. We can speak with our minds. But we have lost something your people still have, and what is that?" Kate asked. "The ability to feel," the Queen said. "The ability to create new things." the ability to choose our own path. My people follow rules perfectly, but they cannot think of new ideas. They can maintain our machines, but they cannot build better ones. They can exist, but they cannot truly live. The Queen looked directly at Jake. I have studied your species for many years. Humans are different. You feel strong emotions. You create art and music for no reason except that it makes you happy. You make choices based on what you want, not just what you are told to do. Jake was starting to understand. You think a marriage between our species could help your people? Yes, the Queen said. But it cannot be forced. It must be real. My daughter must choose, and the human must choose. Only then will it work. Princess Kaelin stepped closer to Jake. When she spoke, her voice was soft and musical. I have been watching your people, Commander Morrison. I have been watching you. You interest me. Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was not what he had expected when he left Earth. He thought about Amy Parker, his girlfriend waiting for him back home. They were planning to get married when he returned. Your Majesty, Jake said carefully, this is a great honor. But I need time to think about this. The Queen nodded. Of course. You will stay here as our guests. Learn about us. Let my daughter learn about you. But remember, Commander Morrison, the future of an entire civilization may depend on your choice. As Jake looked around the Crystal Palace, at the sad princess and the desperate queen, he realized that this decision would change everything, not just for him, but for all of humanity and the Zephyrian Empire. The weight of it felt heavier than the gravity of this strange world. Jake could not sleep that night. The crystal guest room was beautiful, but his mind was full of questions. Through his window he could see the Zephyrian city below. The lights moved in perfect patterns, but something felt wrong about it. It was too perfect, too organized. The next morning, Advisor Nexel came to get him. The Queen wishes to show you something, she said. She wants you to understand why this marriage is so important. Jake followed her through the palace. They walked past rooms full of Zephyrians working at crystal computers. Everyone moved the same way. Everyone sat at the same angle. No one talked to each other. Do they ever speak to each other? Jake asked. They speak with their minds, Nexel said, but only to share information. They do not. How do you say chat? They entered a room where Kate was already waiting. She looked worried. Jake, Kate said, I have been talking to Nexel all morning. There are things about the Zephyrians that we need to know. Nexel led them to a large window that looked out over the city. What you are about to learn must stay secret until you make your decision, she said. If other alien races knew how weak we have become, they would attack us. Jake looked out the window. The city looked magnificent, but now he noticed things he had missed before. The buildings were the same design, repeated over and over. The gardens all had the same flowers and the same patterns. Even the people walked the same paths every day. 50,000 years ago we were different, Nexel said. We had emotions like you do. We created art and music. We built new things because we wanted to, not because we had to. What changed? Kate asked. Our telepathic abilities, Nexel said sadly. At first it was wonderful. We could share thoughts and feelings instantly. We could work together perfectly. But slowly, over thousands of years, it became a curse. Jake watched a group of young Zephyrians in the garden below. They moved like robots, each one doing exactly what the others did. When everyone can read everyone else's thoughts, Nexel continued, individual thinking disappears. Why have your own ideas when you can just take someone else's? Why feel your own emotions when you can feel what others feel? Kate gasped. You all think the same thoughts. Worse than that, Nexel said. We stopped having new thoughts at all. We can remember the art our ancestors made, but we cannot create new art. We can fix our machines, but we cannot invent better ones. We can follow the rules our ancestors wrote, but we cannot write new rules. Jake began to understand the terrible truth. Your whole civilization is stuck. Yes, Nexel said. And it is getting worse. Our birth rate is falling because we cannot form real emotional bonds anymore. We mate because the computer tells us to, not because we love each other. Many of our young people simply stop eating and die because they see no point in living. They walked to another part of the city. Here, Jake saw something that broke his heart. Thousands of Zephyrians sat in perfect rows, staring at nothing. They barely moved. They looked alive, but their eyes were empty. These are our artists, Nexel said. Or they were before they gave up. They tried for years to create something new, but they could only copy what had been made before. Eventually, they stopped trying. Kate wiped tears from her eyes. How many are like this? Millions, Nexel said. More every year. They visited the research centers next. Zephyrian scientists worked at machines that had not changed for thousands of years. They could run tests and collect data, but Jake noticed something strange. They are not asking questions, he said. Real scientists ask questions all the time. Exactly, Nexel said. They can use the scientific method, but they cannot wonder about new things. Curiosity is an emotion, and we have lost most of our emotions. Later that day, Princess Kaelin asked to speak with Jake alone. They met in a private garden filled with crystal flowers that played soft music. Advisor Nexel showed you the truth, the princess said. Now you know why my mother is desperate. Jake looked at her carefully. She seemed different from the other Zephyrians. Her eyes had more life in them. You are different, he said. You seem more alive than the others. The princess smiled sadly. I have been studying humans for 3 years. I watch your movies and read your books. I listen to your music. Slowly I am learning to feel things again. Is that possible? Jake asked. I think so, she said. When I read human poetry, something happens inside me that I cannot explain. When I watch humans laugh or cry, I feel something too. It is small, but it is real. She showed him a small device. This is connected to your Earth's internet. I watch human videos every day. I have seen humans make art just because they wanted to. I have seen them help strangers for no reward. I've seen them fall in love and choose their own partners. Jake was amazed. You learned about emotions from watching us? Yes, she said, but it is not enough. I need to be around real humans to learn more. My mother thinks that if I marry a human, our children might be born with both our telepathic abilities and your emotional abilities. They could save our people. But why me? Jake asked. Princess Kaelin looked down at her crystal hands. I have watched all the humans who have appeared on your internet. I have studied your leaders and your artists and your scientists. But when I saw videos of you leading your space missions, I saw something special. What did you see? You make quick decisions when your crew is in danger, but you also take time to ask how they feel. You solve problems with logic, but you also trust your feelings. You are both strong and gentle. You care about your mission, but you care more about your people. Jake felt uncomfortable. This beautiful alien princess had been watching him for years, and he had not even known aliens existed until recently. Princess, he said, I am honored that you chose me, but I have someone waiting for me on Earth. Her name is Amy. We love each other and want to get married. The princess nodded. I know about Amy Parker. I have seen her in your videos too. She loves you very much. Then you understand why this is difficult for me. Yes, the princess said. Love is something my people have forgotten, but I am learning about it from watching humans. I know it is wrong to ask you to give up your love for my people's survival. That evening, Jake talked to his team. They were all shocked by what they had learned. This is bigger than just one marriage, Kate said. An entire civilization is dying from the inside. Dr. Lisa Chen was taking notes. From a scientific view, it is fascinating and terrible. They have evolved beyond the need for individual thinking. But individual thinking is what creates progress. What should we do? Asked Steve Carter. Jake looked out at the crystal city. In the distance, he could see more areas where Zephyrians sat motionless, lost in their shared emptiness. I do not know, Jake said, but we cannot let an entire civilization die. There has to be another way. That night, Jake sent a message to Earth. He told them everything he had learned. He asked for advice, but he knew the decision would be his alone. As he fell asleep, Jake thought about Amy's face and Princess Kaelin's sad eyes. Somewhere between them lay the future of two civilizations, and somehow he had to find a way to save both. A week had passed since Jake learned the truth about the Zephyrian crisis. Every day, Princess Kaelin spent time with him and his team. Jake watched her change as she learned more about human behavior. She was starting to laugh at jokes. She asked questions about things that made her curious. She was becoming more alive. Jake, she said one morning as they walked through the palace gardens, can you teach me about human music? Jake pulled out his small music player. He played a song by an earth band. The princess closed her eyes and listened. When the song ended, she had tears in her crystal eyes. I felt something, she whispered. Inside my chest, something moved. Is this what you call emotion? Yes, Jake said softly. That is what we call being moved by music. The princess smiled. It was the first real smile Jake had seen from any Zephyrian. I want to feel more things like this. I want to learn what it means to be alive. Jake felt torn. Every day he liked Princess Kaylin more. She was intelligent and kind. She was trying so hard to become more human. But every night he looked at the picture of Amy on his phone and felt guilty. That afternoon, urgent news arrived from space. Long-range sensors had detected alien warships heading toward the Zephyrian system. Ambassador Kate called an emergency meeting. The ships belong to the Draxan Confederacy, she reported. They are a military alliance of several alien races. Our intelligence says they have been watching the situation here. Advisor Nexel looked worried. The Draxans have wanted to attack us for centuries, but our defenses were too strong. If they think we are weak now, how long until they arrive? Jake asked. 3 weeks, Kate said. Queen Lyrillith called Jake to a private meeting that evening. She looked older and more tired than when he first met her. Commander Morrison, she said, I must tell you something that makes our situation even more desperate. Jake waited. The marriage between my daughter and a human is not just about creating hybrid children, the Queen said. According to our oldest biological laws, a marriage of true love between different species can awaken dormant genes. If my daughter truly loves a human and he truly loves her, their wedding ceremony could send a genetic signal to all Zephyrians. What kind of signal? Jake asked. It could restart the parts of our brains that control individual thinking and emotions, the Queen said, but only if the love is real. False love or forced marriage will do nothing. Jake felt the weight of responsibility crushing him. Your Majesty, you are asking me to choose between my own happiness and the survival of your entire species. Yes, the Queen said simply. I am. And I know it is unfair. The next morning, Jake received a video message from Earth. Amy's face appeared on his screen and his heart ached. Hi, Jake, Amy said, smiling. I got your message about the situation there. I cannot believe what you are going through. I want you to know that whatever you decide, I will understand. You always told me that a good leader puts others before himself. Jake played the message 3 times. Amy was giving him permission to marry another being to save an alien civilization. But that only made the choice harder. Princess Kaylin found him later that day, sitting alone on a crystal balcony. You are sad, she said. It is because of Amy, Jake nodded. I love her. We have been together for 5 years. We planned our whole future together. The princess sat beside him. Tell me about love, she said. Real love, not the biological need to reproduce that my people have. Jake thought for a moment. Love is when someone else's happiness becomes more important than your own. It is choosing to be with someone, not because you have to, but because you want to. It is trusting someone with your deepest secrets and knowing they will keep you safe. Do you love Amy this way? The princess asked. Yes, Jake said. And does she love you this way? Yes. The princess was quiet for a long time. I am beginning to understand love by watching you, she said finally. I see how your face changes when you talk about Amy. I see how you smile when you read her messages. I want to feel that way about someone. You will, Jake said. When you learn to love yourself first, you will be able to love others. But there is no time, the princess said sadly. The Draxans are coming. If you do not marry me before they arrive, my people will be too weak to defend themselves. And if they conquer us, they will never let humans into this part of the galaxy. Jake realized she was right. This was not just about the Zephyrians anymore. If the Draxans won, they would see humans as allies of their enemies. Earth itself could be in danger. That night, Jake could not sleep. He walked through the palace halls and found himself in the art gallery. It was full of beautiful sculptures and paintings made by ancient Zephyrians, but they all looked the same. For thousands of years, no one had created anything new. He found Princess Kaylin there staring at a statue of 2 Zephyrians holding hands. I used to think this statue showed love, she said, but now I understand it only shows duty. The 2 figures are not choosing to be together. They are following instructions. Jake looked at the statue. The faces showed no emotion, no joy, no passion. I do not want my marriage to be like this statue, the princess said. I want it to be real. But I also want my people to live. There has to be another way, Jake said. The princess turned to look at him. You have an idea. I can see it in your eyes. Jake did have an idea, but it was crazy. What if we do not focus on just one marriage? What if we focus on teaching your people how to feel again? How? Humans could come here not as conquerors or rulers, but as teachers. We could show your people how to make choices, how to create art, how to form relationships based on feelings instead of duty. The princess's eyes lit up. You mean bring more humans here? Yes, Jake said, getting excited. Artists, musicians, writers, scientists who love discovery. People who could teach your people how to be individuals again. But the genetic awakening, the princess said. The marriage ceremony is needed to trigger it. Jake smiled. Then you should marry someone you choose to love, not someone you are told to love. The princess looked confused. But you are the only human here. Not for long, Jake said. I'm going to ask Earth to send more people. Young people, creative people, people who want to help. And if any of them and any of your people fall in love naturally, real love, then their marriage will have the power you need. The princess stared at him. You would give up the chance to save my people just so I can choose my own love? I am not giving up the chance, Jake said. I am making it better. One forced marriage might save your people temporarily, but teaching them to love and choose for themselves will save them forever. The princess smiled, and this time her smile was bright and full of hope. This is very human thinking, she said. You find a solution that helps everyone. Will your mother agree to this plan? Jake asked. She will have to, the princess said, because it is the only way that respects both love and duty. The next morning, Jake presented his plan to Queen Lyrelith. She listened carefully, her crystal face showing no emotion. You want to bring hundreds of humans here, she said finally, to live among my people and teach them to be individuals. Yes, Jake said. And I want your people to visit Earth too. Cultural exchange in both directions. And you believe this will work better than the marriage I proposed? I believe it will work permanently, Jake said. Not just for one generation, but for all future generations. The queen was silent for a long time. Finally she spoke. There is wisdom in your plan, Commander Morrison. But there is also great risk. The Draxons are coming. We may not have time for slow cultural change. Then we make it fast, Jake said. We start immediately. And if any real love develops between our species in the next 3 weeks, we have your wedding ceremony. The queen looked at her daughter. Kaelin, what do you think of this plan? Princess Kaelin stood up straight. I think it gives me the chance to choose my own future, while still helping my people. I support it. Queen Lyrelith nodded slowly. Very well. Send your message to Earth, Commander Morrison. Ask for volunteers. We will see if human love can work faster than Draxon warships. As Jake prepared his message to Earth, he felt hopeful for the first time in weeks. He was not abandoning the Zephyrians, and he was not abandoning Amy. He was finding a third choice, a human choice that could save everyone. But in the back of his mind, he worried about time. Would love really work faster than war? Earth responded to Jake's request faster than anyone expected. Within 3 days, volunteer spaceships were launching from Earth. Amy Parker was on the first ship, along with 50 other humans who wanted to help save the Zephyrian civilization. Jake felt nervous and excited as he waited at the Crystal spaceport. He had not seen Amy in 7 months. What would she think of this strange alien world? What would she think of Princess Kaelin? When Amy stepped off the ship, Jake ran to her and hugged her tight. She felt warm and real after weeks of being surrounded by crystal beings. I missed you so much, Amy said, kissing him. Your messages made this place sound incredible, but seeing it is different. Are you sure about this? Jake asked. You gave up your job on Earth to come here, Amy smiled. Someone has to make sure you do not fall in love with an alien princess, she said, joking. But then her face became serious. Actually, Jake, I came because this is the most important thing humans have ever done. If we can really save an entire civilization, how could I not help? The other volunteers were amazing people. There was Ben Rodriguez, an artist who painted murals that told stories. There was Maria Santos, a musician who played 12 different instruments. There was Tony Wright, a chef who could make food taste like emotions. There was Lisa Kim, a teacher who could make anyone love learning. Princess Kaelin met them at the palace. Jake watched nervously as Amy and the princess looked at each other for the first time. You must be Amy, the princess said. Jake talks about you constantly. I can see why he loves you. Amy studied the princess's crystal face. And you must be Kaelin. Thank you for not forcing Jake to marry you. That would have been very unhuman of you. The princess laughed. It was a real laugh full of joy. I am learning to be more human every day. Perhaps you can teach me more, Amy smiled. I would like that. Jake felt relief wash over him. The two most important women in his life were going to be friends. The cultural exchange program began immediately. Human volunteers were paired with young Zephyrians who still had some capacity for learning. The results were shocking. Ben Rodriguez set up an art studio in the palace. On the first day, 12 young Zephyrians came to learn painting. Ben gave them brushes and told them to paint anything they wanted. "I do not understand," said a young Zephyrian named Vel. "What am I supposed to paint?" "Anything," Ben said. "What do you see when you close your eyes?" "Nothing," Vel said. "We are taught not to imagine things that are not real." Ben looked sad, but he did not give up. "Then paint how you feel right now." "I do not know how I feel," Vel said. Ben sat beside him. "Look at me. What do you think when you see my face?" Vel stared at Ben for a long time. "You look kind, is that a feeling?" "Yes," Ben said gently. "Now paint kindness." Vel picked up his brush. Slowly, carefully, he began to paint. The painting was simple, just soft blue and yellow colors flowing together. But it was not a copy of anything. It was new. When Vel finished, he stared at his painting with wide eyes. "I made this," he whispered. "It came from inside me." Other Zephyrians gathered around to look. They had never seen anything like it. It was not perfect like their ancient art. It was not following any rules, but it was alive. "How does it make you feel to look at it?" Ben asked the group. "Warm," said one. "Peaceful," said another. "Like I want to make one too," said a third. By the end of the first week, 30 Zephyrians were painting. Their art was simple, but it was theirs. For the first time in thousands of years, new art was being created in the Zephyrian Empire. Maria Santos had similar success with music. She taught Zephyrians to sing songs about their own experiences instead of ancient chants. Tony Wright showed them how to cook food based on what they wanted to eat, not just what was nutritionally required. But the biggest breakthrough came from Lisa Kim's teaching class. She was working with Princess Kaylin and 5 other young Zephyrians. "Today we are going to learn about choice," Lisa said. "I want each of you to choose something you want to learn about." The Zephyrians looked confused. "We learn what we are assigned to learn," one of them said. "Not today," Lisa said. "Today you choose. What are you curious about?" Princess Kaylin raised her hand. "I want to learn about human emotions. I want to understand how you can feel many different things at the same time." Another Zephyrian said, "I want to learn about human music. Why do you make sounds that have no practical purpose?" A third said, "I want to learn about human families. Why do you choose who to love instead of being assigned a mate?" Lisa smiled. "Those are excellent questions. And the fact that you thought of them yourselves means you are already learning to be curious." The most amazing change was in Princess Kaylin herself. After 2 weeks of learning from humans, she was like a different person. She asked questions constantly. She painted pictures of her feelings. She even wrote a poem about what it felt like to make her own choices. One evening, Jake found her and Ben Rodriguez working together on a mural. Ben was teaching her how to paint a sunset, but she was adding her own crystal-like flowers to the picture. "This is beautiful," Jake said. Princess Kaylin beamed with pride. "Ben is teaching me that art does not have to be perfect. It just has to be honest." Jake noticed that Ben and the princess worked very well together. Ben would suggest something and she would add her own ideas. They were creating something that neither could have made alone. "Ben," Princess Kaylin said, "can you teach me about human dancing? I have seen it in videos, but I do not understand why humans move their bodies to music." Ben smiled. "Dancing is like painting with your whole body. It is another way to show feelings." He took her hands and showed her simple dance steps. Princess Kaylin was clumsy at first, but she laughed when she made mistakes. Jake had never seen a Zephyrian laugh at their own errors before. As they danced, Jake noticed something in Ben's eyes. He was looking at the princess the way Jake looked at Amy, and the princess was looking back at Ben the same way. Jake felt a spark of hope. Real love was growing between them. Natural, chosen love. But then alarms started ringing throughout the palace. Advisor Nexel came running into the room. "The Draxon fleet has arrived early," she said. "They will be here in 2 days, not 1 week as we expected." Queen Lyrelith called an emergency meeting. The human volunteers and Zephyrian leaders gathered in the Great Hall. "The Draxons have brought twice as many ships as we expected," the Queen said. "They know we are weak. They intend to conquer us quickly." Jake felt sick. They had made so much progress, but it was not enough time. Your Majesty, said Amy, what if the progress we have made is enough? What if some of your people have learned enough to fight differently? Princess Kaelin stood up. She is right. We young ones who have been learning from humans, we feel different. We think different. When I imagine fighting the Draxons, I do not just think about following battle plans. I think about protecting the humans who have become our friends. I think about protecting our new art and music. Ben took the princess's hand. And I think about protecting you, he said quietly. The princess looked at him with surprise and joy. You would fight for me? I would do anything for you, Ben said. I know we have only known each other for 2 weeks, but I love you. The princess began to cry crystal tears. I love you too. I understand love now. It is choosing someone and having them choose you back. Queen Lyrillith stared at her daughter. You have learned to love. True love. Yes, the princess said. And I choose Ben. The queen turned to Ben. And you, human, do you choose my daughter? Not for duty or to save our people, but because your heart wants her? Ben nodded. I choose her. I want to spend my life with her. The queen smiled for the first time since Jake had met her. Then we will have our wedding ceremony. Tomorrow before the Draxons attack. If your love is real, it will awaken the sleeping parts of our minds. Jake felt amazed. The plan had worked. Love had grown naturally between Ben and Princess Kaelin. Real love, chosen love, the kind that could change the world. That night, as the humans and Zephyrians prepared for both a wedding and a battle, Jake held Amy close. Do you think it will work? Amy asked. Do you think their love can really save the Zephyrians? Jake looked out at the Crystal City, where Zephyrians were painting murals and singing songs they had created themselves. I think love already has, he said. The wedding of Princess Kaelin and Ben Rodriguez was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It took place in the Crystal Palace's greatest hall, with humans and Zephyrians standing together as witnesses. Princess Kaelin wore a gown made of living crystal that changed colors with her emotions. As she walked toward Ben, the gown shifted from nervous blue to joyful gold. Ben wore a simple earth suit, but he had painted crystal flowers on his jacket to honor his bride's culture. Do you, Ben Rodriguez, choose Kaelin as your partner in love and life? Queen Lyrillith asked. I do, Ben said, looking into the princess's crystal eyes. I choose her freely with all my heart. Do you, Princess Kaelin, choose Ben as your partner in love and life? The queen asked her daughter. I do, Kaelin said, her voice strong and clear. I choose him freely with all my heart. When they kissed, something amazing happened. A wave of golden light spread out from them, flowing through the Crystal Palace and into the city beyond. Every Zephyrian in the capital felt it. For the first time in thousands of years, they felt their individual minds awakening. Jake watched elderly Zephyrians in the crowd suddenly stand up straighter. Their eyes became brighter. Some of them began to cry as emotions they had forgotten came flooding back. It is working, Amy whispered, squeezing Jake's hand. The genetic awakening is real, but there was no time to celebrate. The Draxon fleet was already entering the atmosphere. Their black warships blocked out the sun as they descended toward the crystal cities. Admiral Krex, the Draxon leader, broadcast a message to the planet. Zephyrians, you have harbored humans in your territory. This makes you enemies of galactic order. Surrender now and we will make your deaths quick. Queen Lyrillith stood in the palace's communication center. The genetic awakening had changed her too. Her crystal skin was brighter and her voice was stronger. Admiral Krex, she said, we will not surrender. We have something worth fighting for now. The first battleships launched from Zephyrian crystal hangars, but something was different about how they flew. Instead of following perfect formation patterns, they moved with creativity and unpredictability. The pilots who had been learning from humans brought new tactics to the fight. Jake joined the defense fleet as a pilot. His small human ship was fast and maneuverable, but what surprised him was how well the Zephyrian pilots adapted to his flying style. They learned from watching him and created new moves that had never been tried before. Commander Morrison, came a voice over the radio. It was Vel, the young Zephyrian who had learned to paint. I have an idea for attacking their main ship. It is crazy, but it might work. Tell me, Jake said. Their shields are strongest at the front and back, but weaker on the sides. If we attack from 6 different angles at once, we can confuse their computers. Jake smiled. A few weeks ago, Vel would never have had an original idea. Now he was thinking like a tactical genius. "Let's do it," Jake said. The coordinated attack worked perfectly. The Draxon main ship's shields failed and it began to retreat. But Admiral Krex was not done fighting. "If we cannot conquer you," he broadcast, "we will destroy you. Prepare the planet killer weapon." Jake's heart stopped. Planet killer weapons could destroy entire worlds. Even with their new abilities, the Zephyrians could not stop a weapon like that. But then something unexpected happened. Ships began arriving from other parts of the galaxy. Not human ships or Zephyrian ships, but vessels belonging to dozens of different alien races. "This is Captain Zora of the Antaran Republic," came a new voice over the radio. "We stand with the Zephyrians and humans." "This is Commander Thek of the Spiral Confederation," said another voice. "We will not allow the Draxons to destroy a planet." More and more ships arrived. Species that had never worked together before were uniting to protect the Zephyrian world. Amy's voice came over Jake's radio from the palace. "Jake, you need to hear this. Aliens from all over the galaxy have been watching what happened here. They want what the Zephyrians found." Jake understood immediately. Other alien civilizations had their own problems. Some were too warlike, some were too logical, some were too emotional. But humans had shown that different species could learn from each other and become better together. Admiral Krex found his fleet surrounded by hundreds of alien ships. His planet killer weapon was powerful, but it was only one weapon against an entire galactic alliance. "This is not over," Krex broadcast as his fleet retreated. "We will not forget this alliance." But Jake was not worried about future threats. He was thinking about future possibilities. 3 months later, the Zephyrian capital had become the center of the galaxy's first interspecies university. Aliens from dozens of worlds came to learn from each other. Humans taught creativity and emotional intelligence. Zephyrians taught logic and long-term thinking. Other species brought their own gifts. Jake and Amy were married in the same crystal hall where Ben and Kaylin had been wed. Their wedding was smaller but just as joyful. Princess Kaylin, now Queen Kaylin after her mother stepped down, served as Amy's maid of honor. "I am so happy for you," Queen Kaylin told Amy after the ceremony. "You and Jake found each other across the stars just like Ben and I did." Amy smiled. "And now we are all family." Ben and Kaylin's first child was born 6 months later. Little Sarah Rodriguez Kaylin was the first human Zephyrian hybrid, and she was extraordinary. She had her father's warm brown eyes and her mother's crystal clear skin. She could speak with her mind like a Zephyrian, but she also laughed and cried like a human. "She is the future," Queen Lyrillith said, holding her granddaughter. Both logical and emotional, both individual and connected. The old queen had changed too. The genetic awakening had given her back emotions she had not felt for centuries. She spent her retirement years writing poetry and teaching young Zephyrians about the importance of choice. Jake was appointed as Earth's first galactic ambassador. His job was to help other species learn what humans could teach them about cooperation and creativity. But he learned just as much from them. The Spiral Confederation taught humans about patience and long-term planning. The Antaran Republic shared their knowledge of healing and medicine. The Crystal Builders showed humans how to create technology that worked with nature instead of against it. 5 years after the first wedding, Jake stood in the university's central garden. Human roses grew next to Zephyrian crystal flowers. Antaran healing pools reflected the light of spiral energy sculptures. Children from a dozen different species played together, learning from each other naturally. Amy joined him, carrying their own daughter. Little Emma Morrison had her father's curiosity and her mother's kindness. She was fully human, but she was growing up in a galaxy where being different was celebrated. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had said yes to the original marriage proposal?" Amy asked. Jake thought about it. "We might have saved the Zephyrians, but we would not have created this," he said, gesturing to the diverse community around them. Ben and Queen Kaylin approached with their 3 children. The oldest, Sarah, was now walking and talking in both human words and Zephyrian telepathy. The twins, David and Lila, were toddlers with crystal skin that changed colors with their moods. "Uncle Jake, Aunt Amy," Sarah said, running to them. "Look what I made." She held up a drawing that was somehow both painted with colors and carved into crystal. It showed humans and Zephyrians dancing together under the stars. "It is beautiful," Amy said. "You are an artist like your father, and a scientist like your mother," added Jake. Queen Kaylin smiled. "She is whatever she chooses to be. That is what you humans taught us. That choice is the most precious gift in the universe. That evening, as Jake tucked Emma into bed in their home in the Crystal City, she asked him a question. "Daddy, why did the aliens want to marry you?" Jake laughed. "They did not want to marry me specifically, sweetheart. They wanted to learn about love and choice, like, did you teach them?" "We all taught each other," Jake said. "That is what families do." Emma nodded seriously. "Are all the aliens in the galaxy our family now?" Jake looked out the window at the ships from dozens of worlds docked at the spaceport. "Yes," he said. "I think they are." As Emma fell asleep, Jake thought about how far they had all come. The alien queen's incredible offer had led to something better than anyone could have imagined. Not just one marriage between two species, but a whole galaxy learning to love and choose together. The future was bright with infinite possibilities, and it belonged to children like Sarah and Emma, who would grow up knowing that differences made the galaxy stronger, not weaker. The age of galactic cooperation had begun, and it started with something as simple and as powerful as human love. Jake's last thought before sleep was a grateful one. Sometimes the best way to solve an impossible problem was to choose love over duty, cooperation over conquest, and hope over fear. That, he realized, was the most human thing of all.